y'all! Welcome to Social Studies with Miss Rogers, World History Edition. We're inching closer to our First World War. Just one more video to go. Today, we're going to focus on the direct causes of World War I. We've already been talking about some of these causes, our isms of war, such as imperialism. But today, we're going to see exactly how each of these causes of World War I are going to lead to World War I, and what their connections to World War I are. So, let's get started. It's been a while since we've talked about major conflicts between nations, and there's a reason for that. As different countries become more technologically advanced, they truly believe war to be a thing of the past. Many advanced nations believe they're too advanced and civilized for war to ever take place in their lands again. And of course they knew this peace wouldn't just happen. They've been working with neighboring nations to establish peace organizations, peace deals, anything they could do to keep the idea of war at bay. Unfortunately, we know that is not at all what reality has in store for the world, but hey, A for effort, right? We'll never turn down the idea to create a peaceful world for everyone to be safe in, but remember, the Berlin Conference we talked about in African imperialism was an example of trying to keep the peace and keeping war from happening, and was life great and safe for the African people? No. So when we say the world was at peace, part of that is because larger nations are taking over and controlling many parts of the world. So again, when we say the world was at peace, that's a loaded statement, for sure. Now, when we look at the underlying causes of World War I, we typically refer to them as the main causes, because it's also a mnemonic device. Pretty nifty. A lot of these we've already talked about, some we haven't, but no worries. We're going to explain how each of these main causes, militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism, all contribute to World War I. First, we have militarism, which encompassed an idea that in order to be great, a nation must have a strong military. On top of that, military experts within nations advised that not only should a country have a strong military, but that military should be prepared to assemble at a moment's notice, at any given time. The idea of militarism encouraged building up a nation's military as much as possible, which also encouraged nationalism, being proud of this military. And militarism created its own domino effect. If you're a leader and you realize your neighbor is stocking up on their military, wouldn't that make you nervous? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? Is something coming? Are they planning something? Maybe to be safe, I should also be ready with my military, just to be safe, right? That's the kind of domino effect militarism will have on the world. So now all of our major nations have strong militaries that are ready to move just in case they're ever needed. Alliances we're going to talk about in a moment, because the alliances can be a little bit complicated and confusing, and they have their own note slide to go with them just to make it a little easier to visualize. We've talked about imperialism a lot, and we've kind of already mentioned how imperialism contributed to the war, but just to clarify, the competition between larger nations to take as many colonies as possible is what deepened mistrust between countries. They competed over resources, they competed over land, and the more colonies a nation created with imperialism, the more nationalist feelings spread, whether they be in the mother country or in the areas being conquered. And just as we talked about before, nationalism could be a good thing or a bad thing. Nationalism could be unifying, such as with Italy and Germany, or nationalism could lead to anger or jealousy. For example, in a war called the Franco-Prussian War in 1870, France lost a lot of territory to Germany, and France never really got over it. Thanks to nationalism, the French thought they deserved that land, and this tension that would build up between France and Germany will contribute to our causes of World War I as we span over to a broader explanation of alliances. So to go a little deeper with the alliances, because it can be confusing, to kind of ease your mind a little and make it a lot less overwhelming, I tend to think about the alliance systems as high school friend group drama. You'll see what I mean by that. First, we have a man named Otto von Bismarck, who unified Germany. Thanks, nationalism. Bismarck became the leader, the Iron Chancellor, and decided, hey, I want Europe to be a peaceful place. Bismarck decided France was the biggest threat to that peace, because they were probably still so angry about losing territory in the Franco-Prussian War. So Bismarck decided the best thing to do was isolate France. If Bismarck could create a big enough friend group, when France made any noise, no one would listen because all of the countries would be on Bismarck's side. Because, that's what loyal friends do. You know if your best friend was in trouble, if someone was bullying them or something, you would stand up for them in a heartbeat. And that was Bismarck's goal, to make a friend group that would stand up to France if France ever caused any problems for Germany. Germany made an alliance with both Austria-Hungary and Italy, and together their friend group was called the Triple Alliance. Bismarck also made an alliance with Russia, but this alliance did not last long. Soon in Germany, a new Kaiser or emperor came to power, Kaiser Wilhelm II. And Wilhelm was a little less pro everyone let's be friends together, and a little bit more pro Germany is the best ever and let's show everybody that. Wilhelm did not believe they needed Russia as a friend, and Russia was offended. So in retaliation, as would also be in a normal high school friend drama, Russia decided to get back at Germany by making their own alliance with France. Take that, Germany! Wilhelm did get a little nervous because now he was in the center of two allies, and if there ever was an issue with France, Russia would intervene, meaning Germany would have to fight a two-front war, and we know how well those go. Don't we, Spain? This fear will contribute to the growing militarism in Germany, the need to build up their military so that if an issue were to ever occur, they would be ready. This included Germany's navy, which Germans had the desire to have a bigger and better navy than Great Britain, who had the strongest navy at the time. This alarmed Great Britain, so they also said, you know what? I think I want to be friends with France and Russia. Just in case. Germany's acting sus. This friend group created, or this alliance system, was called the Triple Entente. Typically, you can remember the differences between the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente because Entente just sounds French. One minor difference, though, is that even though Great Britain was in this alliance, they did not promise to always fight with France and Russia. They just promised to never fight against France and Russia. And these are our alliance systems that will contribute to our main causes of World War I. Now, the main causes of World War I, as we've talked about, are underlying causes. They happened in the background. They were significant to the start of World War I, but they weren't entirely obvious at the time. The direct, in-your-face, where everyone can clearly see it, cause of World War I would be the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Let's take a look. This right here is the Balkan Peninsula. It was also known as the powder keg of Europe because there were so many different ethnic groups present and a lot of tension between each one. We have not talked about the Middle East in a while. And the last time we really focused on the Middle East was during the Middle Ages, and the Ottoman Empire has been in charge of that area for a long time. However, as we creep up on the 20th century, the Ottoman Empire is in decline, and many nations will break away from the Ottoman Turks and start their own countries. Some of these nations, such as Serbia, had large Slavic populations. Slavs are people a part of a language family. Just like when we talked about Germanic tribes in the fall of Rome, they were a group of people who shared the same language base. As Romance languages share a language base, so Slavs share a language base, and thanks to our friend nationalism, areas such as Serbia wanted to unite all Slavs on the peninsula into one Slavic nation. Russia, who is also Slavic, supported Serbia's goal because, people with similar interests tend to be a part of the same friend groups. Austria-Hungary, who was not predominantly Slavic, did not like this idea. Austria-Hungary did not want their Slavic people to rebel and join Serbia's Slavic nation, and tensions rose. Remember, Austria-Hungary and Russia are in different alliance groups. Then, Austria-Hungary annexed a couple countries, including Bosnia, a Slavic nation, which really ticked Serbia off. It's ruining their whole uniting all the Slavs of the peninsula plans. But Austria-Hungary is a lot bigger than Serbia, so there's really nothing they could do about it. But tensions continue to rise. As we see tensions get thicker and thicker, we finally have the straw that breaks the camel's back. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary and his wife paid a visit to Bosnia, where a Serbian man named Gavrilo Princip shot the two point blank. Princip was a part of a secret society called the Black Hand, whose main goal was to unite Slavs, and it's not known if the Serbian government knew of this plot or even if they helped out, but the Austrian-Hungarian government treated the Serbians as if they did. Austria-Hungary presented Serbia with a list of demands, some of which were purposefully impossible. Austria-Hungary knew they could destroy itty-bitty Serbia if a real war were to break out between the two, and they were itching to put Serbia in their place. Serbia also knew that some of these demands would be impossible to fulfill, and knew Austria-Hungary would easily be able to defeat the nation. Serbia fulfilled the demands they could, and asked to negotiate on the more difficult demands to follow through on. Austria-Hungary refused to negotiate and declared war on Serbia. However, Austria-Hungary forgot about Serbia's friend. Serbia's much larger than Austria-Hungary friend, Russia. We've already talked about how Russia supported Serbia, their friends. And what do loyal friends do? The very same day that Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia, Russia takes action. Because of militarism, Russia's military is ready to go at a moment's notice, and they position their troops along the Austria-Hungarian border, which is all the Triple Alliance needs to feel that their friend is in danger, and they feel the need to take action as well, which of course will grab the attention of the rest of the Triple Entente. You see where this is going. The domino effect that these alliances will create is going to push Europe into this giant battle. And we will see exactly who follows through on their alliance promises, who doesn't, and exactly what this war will mean for the entire world. So, I'll see you then.